Mr. Long, thanks for letting me come in
Yep,
your
no problem.
classroom, your kindergarten classroom today. I got to see a lot of great things, and we didn't get a chance to talk ahead of time, but did you have any concerns or questions for me before?
Just I guess kind of the overall strengths and the overall growth areas that I want to work on. I'm constantly trying to reflect back on my lessons to hopefully reflect on what went well, how it can continue to go well, and always I'm trying to look what can I improve in as a teacher.
That's awesome. Awesome. That's the best way to do it. And if you can videotape yourself, you know, and have a chance to look at it, that's also great.
Yep.
I know when I was in grad school, it was that was a great chance to learn to see yourself. I did see some great things. So, you know, I saw good transitions from the floor to the seats. You know, the kids knew just what to do. I could see you got a routine going.
Yep.
You did a lot of kinesthetic actions for first graders, and that's great for connecting everything in your brain and remembering things. I also noticed the students were really attentive to you. You had a, you know, great job keeping them with you and on task. I also liked your use of technology for visual support when you went to their seats and supported them. How do you feel now that you think back about the lesson? How do you think it went? How do you feel about it?
Overall, I think it went pretty well. I think at times maybe I had them a little bit too much sit time, especially at their seats towards the end of the lesson, which I think I could have done a better job maybe of incorporating movement a little bit. But overall, I think it went pretty well. I think they enjoyed getting to see the document camera, getting to see their images up on the screen.
Sure.
So I thought that connected well with the visual learners in the classroom as well.
That's excellent. That's about what I was thinking too. You did a great job with that visual, and that kept them on target. But maybe a little bit, you know, I see what you're saying. You got to change things up when they're that young and keep them moving. And so, is there anything you want to tell me about the dynamics of your class? It seemed like your kids were, you know, very cooperative and got along. Is there any other
It's a rather diverse class overall. I think there's quite a bit of mixed abilities throughout. At times, all students struggle with being on task and being focused and being engaged, which is one of the strategies and skills of trying to redirect. And I used in connection with our PBIS pointing out positive behaviors, like I'm looking for a quiet hand, and I called in a student saying, "Thank you for having a quiet hand." She was the only one that had a quiet hand. Hopefully connect with the students on the fact that I'm looking for our positive expectations that we have in our school. So
great. I noticed that too. That was one of the things I noticed was that the only other suggestion for that is to throw that visual in there. You ask for a quiet hand a lot, and sometimes just throwing that action, you do so many actions if you're just raising your hand. That's another symbol of I'm looking for a hand. As you know, letting them know, do we shout it out or do we raise a hand? And that was the PBIS strategy, and the philosophy was one of the other good things that I saw you do. And you know, constantly reinforcing those positive you know, behaviors and the great things that the kids are doing. The one thing I wanted to ask you, tell me about the main focus of your lesson and how you think the kids did. Do you think they understood your focus? Can you explain that?
I think my overall focus of the lesson, it was kind of twofold. The main focus and the main skill we were working on was kind of a main idea. And in connect with that, we more worked on sequencing throughout the story. We worked on kind of what is the setting, and that's where we connected our visual phonics with, like, where is the setting, connecting, looking out and seeing where, when is it, pointing to a watch, which I always wear as well, so the kids can kind of connect those things, and if they get the repeated interactions with that, along with the verbal and then the nonverbal language, they can more connect that. And then we worked on what happened in the story. First, this happened. Second, this happened. And third, that happened. And then they were able to retell the story using their storybooks. And overall, I think we reviewed the lesson, kind of an informal assessment at the end, talking about, okay, let's review, what did we learn today? What's the main idea of this whole story we just read today?
Sure.
And it was kind of a different connection because it kind of focused on stranger danger and safety. You should never go into a stranger's home, which was the big lesson I wanted them to take away from the day.
Wow, so that was a lot. And that's exactly what I kind of got from the whole thing. Was this the first time that you did all of those components of a story, or have you been working on this retelling?
We have
and
worked about,
sequencing?
and we've worked on retelling the story and worked on the skills, and they've also had interactions with this book. We just picked a nice big book for them to see.
Sure.
And then this was the first time they've got to put their own story together and kind of retell the story using their own sentences as well.
Sure. And that was another thing that I was going to compliment you on, was you did a lot of we do together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you quiz them and you help write a sentence. You ask them to generate the sentence,
Mm-hmm.
and then you did it together. If there was anything you could change next time you do this lesson?
A few things I would change maybe is more kind of independent time for them to maybe retell the story. It might be with a partner now, put your story in order, and then I would come around and staple after they've had a chance to put their story, make sure that they've had a chance to interact with it. If it's not in order the correct way, well, turn and talk with an elbow partner, which was the sequence of events in our story. How could you rearrange your book? So they could work more on deconstructing the story and then reconstructing it in different ways.
Sure.
So that really drives home the point of them able to pick apart first, second, third sequence of events of the story.
Sure. That's a great idea. I think, and you can do that after a break or after a recess, or
Mhm.
revisit it
Yep.
later too at a great time. Those are some great ideas. I just had a few other ideas to share with you
Mhm.
that I've seen other teachers use in classrooms before, and I have them written down, and I'll give them to you. And if you have any questions, you can always grab me whenever you see me. I'd love to come back in and see how you're feeling about it. The one of the suggestions is maybe post those statements. So pick something. You have a lot of things that you're wanting them to learn at one time.
Yep.
Really, whatever you're focusing on, make sure that you have that I can statement posted, or you're starting with that, and then make sure you're coming back to that at the end. I know that I could tell that you knew exactly where you were going, and that they had done this, the symbols and the gestures and the phonics before. So they followed you very, very well. But just to make sure that they know, our goal is sequencing, the story today, and have that either posted and refer to it like throughout the week, or make sure that you have a visual.
Okay.
The other thing was, I thought someone on your team maybe has some cards. You did a great with the kinesthetic, but if you add that one visual card like where, and have that site word on there, and who, and if you just have those key pictures and words, that adds one more mode to their learning, if that's another thing that you could do. And if you need help finding that, I think I know one of your colleagues that has some of those, and we can just make a copy. I'd be glad to get that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Another idea is, you talked about later on you might write, discuss the sentences or put them in order. Maybe even, I know it's getting towards the end of the year, doing the writing with them in a small group while the others are coloring. I noticed you had several kids kind of get behind just in that writing part. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but I've seen another teacher doing that, and that's something that's easy for you to just pick up and try and see if you could. Let's see, you did the picture cards, and I wrote these down. Again, the strength of your positive reinforcement. The only other suggestion might be the questioning. So when you're on the carpet and if a student gave a wrong answer, that's a good time to extend that questioning. Tell me why you think that. Or even go back to the book and say, can you show me how you know? Even if they get the right answer, show me how you know that, or where are you looking at it. I think that's just another way to get them up and moving, and also just extend that questioning. I did bring, and I don't know if you've seen this before, a copy for you of some questions, depth of questions, depth of knowledge, kind of words to help you extend your questions for them. And even, like I said, even if you try to extend and ask more from the kids who get the wrong answer, you had a couple that answered incorrectly, and just ask so you can kind of see where their misunderstanding is. That's an idea. You can keep that. That's an extra copy. I guess and that's what we talked about, the picture book that helps. So I think that I really appreciate, you had some really good things. You got the kids moving. I was happy to come in here. I'd love to come
Yep.
in again. If you would like me to, come in and work with a small group and you're working with someone, I'd love to come
Okay,
in. So let me know. And is there anything else any other information I can get for you, or any other way I can help you out with this?
I think I'm pretty good, but for the ICANNs you were talking about,
Right.
do we have access to some of those that we can look through?
We should. In your team, if you talk in your CLT team, those should be on a document, and
Okay.
I can forward those to you because I'm sure the principal has everybody's, but
Yeah.
I'd sure be willing to forward those to you. All right, I'm gonna just make a note so I don't forget to that. Forward ICANN statements. And that's just kid language of all
Yep.
of those Common
Okay,
Core.
fine, language,
Mhm.
yep.
Forward ICANN statements. I'd sure be happy to do that. If you try any of these suggestions or ideas, let me know what you
Okay.
think, and if you still, want some other ideas. But I think you're doing a great job, and if there's anything else I can do to help, I'd love to do it.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks a lot.
Yep.
See you later.
See ya.
Okay.